Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dailey from HEART REIKI, and today we are talking about tips to soothe anxiety through Reiki, using Reiki to help soothe anxiety. So I know that this has come up a couple of times in our Facebook group that some people have anxiety. A lot of us do at some point in our lives, and I think it is really good to know what the anxiety is about and how to get to the heart of it. So I wanted to share some of my favorite tips. I made a couple of notes just to keep myself on track. Um, but first, let's talk about anxiety. So, anxiety can come up for a number of reasons. Anxiety can come up physically, so you can actually get like that feeling of heart palpitating, unsettledness just from food that you eat. You could have like mild allergic reactions to things, and that can create anxiety. For years, I drank 5 or 6 cups of coffee a day and loved it. And then one day I maxed out, and I found that even half a cup of coffee would create incredible palpitations in my heart, right? And I would just feel like the world is going to end, something terrible is going to happen. And it was actually just the half a cup of coffee I drank. So, anxiety can be caused by something physical. Anxiety can also be caused by something emotional. If you have values that are being crossed, ways in which you feel that you're being asked to act or move in the world that go against fundamentally how you view the world or view something, that can create anxiety. Um, and it's an emotional feeling, it's the anxiety comes up as a way of your body telling you that there's something deeper that needs to be looked at. So the anxiety in those cases, I mean, in all cases, really, it's a gift. Anxiety can also come up when you're just overwhelmed. If you have too many things happening and your body can't really maintain the capacity for those things, that sense of overwhelm will create panic attacks for you. Sometimes we don't realize that that's what's happening because your ego can be really strong and you can really feel like, oh no, I've got this, I can handle this, right? And it's part of that survival mechanism to feel that you can. But if, for example, you really do need more rest or you need the right nourishment and you're not getting it, or the emotional load that you're holding with things going on is actually just a lot and you need more space to process it, then your body will show anxiety. It'll show up with anxiety. Um, there are also spiritual reasons for anxiety. And when it comes to the spiritual, I think that like I like to divide it into two kind of pieces. And the first is that sometimes you can actually get anxiety because your intuition is picking up things in the outer world that um, are kind of like a warning for you or a hint that something is not as not placid or happy as it seems on the outside. So you can have like just a feeling of dread or a feeling of tightness in your chest or a concern. And it is actually your intuition on the astral level, the psychic level, picking up something going on that's touching your energy field. So for many years, I had the gift that I could just drive through an intersection and know if a car accident was going to happen in the next few hours or any large fires. I would get like a feeling of anxiety in my body because I knew that something was coming, and then it would manifest and I'd go, okay, that's what I was picking up. Um, Likewise, sometimes this happens a lot in my family. Like, we all have just a knowingness that we never have really talked about, but you can get anxiety and you just know it. So like a lot of my family members, if they just get that feeling, they'll call around like, is everything okay with you? Is everything going on fine? Because we know it's that auric your auric energy is touching something that is calling out for attention. The other side of the spiritual in this is that sometimes you're getting anxiety because there's energy in your field that just shouldn't be there. So, um, a lot of times, especially if you're empathic or sensitive, you can, you can like be absorb the feelings and emotions and energies of people you love. And you may even bring them in really close into your heart chakra to protect them or to better tend them. So sometimes the anxiety that you're feeling may not even be your anxiety. It could actually be the anxiety of your loved ones. So um, that's kind of a challenge, right? Because you don't want to suffer the results of that. So there are some things that I like to do with anxiety to help it move on in any and all of these cases. I love to really use Reiki with it and for it. And the first way that I really like to do that is that I will close my eyes, because a lot of times just like being able to clear out the rest of the world starts with sensing where I am in my center. So you close your eyes, and I like to lay hands wherever I feel the anxiety. So if you're feeling anxiety in your heart or around like your thymus gland in your chest, or if it's a belly anxiety, wherever you're actually feeling the anxiety, what I like to do is lay hands there, close my eyes, and just begin with breath. So that first tip, well, those are like three tips, but the first tip is that breath is one of the best and fastest and easiest ways to manage anxiety. That you can actually simply return to a very, very simple breathing in and out in even increments. So, for example, breathing out for a count of 4, breathing in for a count of 4. So I'm like breathing in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And you just continue that. And what I do is I just focus on counting in my head, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I start at whatever pace feels right for me. And then I slow down the count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I slow down the count as my breathing starts to relax my body. There is a stress relief breath you can do, which is where you actually um, breathe in for, say, 4 counts, but you breathe out for an extra few counts. So you breathe out for 5 or 6 counts. So you're actually releasing more than you bring in time wise. That's a little trick that a lot of people use to help downregulate the body. But the thing about breathing is that breathing is what brings oxygen and life force through our entire body. And even in Reiki 1, we talk about your breath being a fantastic vehicle to calm and realign your spiritual energy. That you can actually really work with your breath to help really bring that light flow in. So, the very first anxiety tip is to really work with your breath and just close your eyes, put your hands wherever you're feeling that anxiety, and just focus on breathing for a few minutes, because that allows your body to find a rhythm so that you can then begin the process of identifying what that anxiety is really, really about. So I'm not seeing any comments, and I think it's because the comments may not be working today. But I am going to check comments before I jump off. I'll check on my phone. So if you have questions or comments, go ahead and post them, and I'll check questions before I'm done. So the next tip, like say you're doing your breathing, you've slowed your breathing down, you're kind of present with your breathing. Then what I love to do is an energy flush. So this kind of helps. It doesn't help if your anxiety is caused by something physical like thyroid or food or coffee or bowel. However, the energy flush really, really helps if it's anything emotional or if it's spiritual or psychic. And it also helps mindset wise because your brain patterns shift when you run energy work. So for the energy flush, I've done all those things. I've laid hands wherever I'm feeling them. I've closed my eyes. I've regulated some of that breathing. And then I open up to Reiki life force energy and we just call it in. And when I'm on my own and I'm not doing live, I call that in by I literally in my mind, I say like, I call in Reiki. And if I'm feeling really disconnected, I'll still say it out loud, even if I'm the only person in the room. I actually just say a prayer out loud to help me welcome the light and the energy. So I'll say, I welcome Reiki life force energy. I welcome it through my crown. I welcome it into my third eye to clear my third eye. I welcome it into my throat. I welcome it into my heart. I welcome it into my belly. I welcome it into my womb. I welcome it into my root and my feet and my hands. So I say it out loud and I pause and really surrender and allow that energy to come through and come into those places. And I envision this white golden light like pouring through my crown and like filling up my body and just like flushing. So as I see the light coming through, I will like do a body scan and I'll ask myself, like, are these thoughts even my thoughts? Where did these thoughts come from? Because sometimes you don't realize that like thoughts will pop into your head and you just don't need those thoughts, like you're on a train of thought that's not healthy. So you just peel it out. You say like, no, thank you. Or like you notice people come up in your mind or heart and you're like, you find that, oh my gosh, you didn't even realize it, but at the very back of your thoughts, you had this like low grade, continuous kind of narrative going about a family member or a situation in your life, or somebody else like mentioned something briefly on Facebook and somehow that just created a trigger for you around fear about something. Maybe you read something and it just made you really afraid for your own life. So I like to go through and do this energy flush where I clear out any energy that's not my own. And I do that using the Joshin Kokyoho from Reiki 1. So if you've taken Reiki 1 and you don't remember you can go to the website to Santa Rosa Reiki and use your login. You should have one to go in and review that Joshin Kokyoho process. But that light expanding breath just flushes and clears and helps to reset your auric field so you know what energy is yours. And then you ask these self-inquiry questions like, is this really mine? Is this mine? Another way I like to ask it that I really love is, who's on my bandwidth? So that really works for me for some reason, that if I just ask, like if I'm feeling a certain way, I'll ask, who's on my bandwidth? And I listen. I just listen inside and I'll get a feeling in my body like I'm good, or I'll get a feeling like, oh, I'm picking up something that so and so is feeling. Like I'm thinking of so and so just popped up. So maybe they're actually in my psychic field a little bit and I didn't realize it, right? So that then when I see that, I use my hands, I use my intention, and I'm just like, I love you, but stay outside of my circle, stay out of my aura. And that helps. The other thing that I really, really find to be helpful with this is actually being honest with myself. Like, I found that, especially around the values piece, like sometimes we don't realize that our anxiety is being caused by we're us actually just not honoring our feelings and values on a deeper level. So I like to ask, how do I really feel about this? And it's a deceptively simple question. So, for example, if I'm just moving around, and I will say I don't really get anxiety a lot anymore, but I went through about 3 or 4 years of my life where I was having a lot of huge anxiety, like up all night, heart palpitating, sweating, feeling sick, anxiety, a lot. And some of it was that now that I was in a safe place in my life, I suddenly had space to think about things that I just hadn't reflected on before, and to review past traumas and past stressful experiences that I hadn't reviewed before. So in the quiet of the night, like all of these intense physiological experiences were happening, like to me, right? My anxiety, as I was like sort of feeling myself on the edge of that psychological awareness, right? So I know anxiety on many different levels. And actually just asking, how do I really feel about this? It gives your inner child permission to be really honest, and that can start a really cathartic healing process. So sometimes I might feel in a grouchy mood and then I just suddenly feel really anxious about something while I'm washing dishes or while I'm in a car driving. And I actually stop and I'll pace back a few seconds to ask, like, did I just listen to something that triggered me and I wasn't aware? And if there is, then I'll think about that and I'll do some mindset work around whatever triggered me. Maybe it was a song that I was flipping the radio station or flipping Spotify, and like a song came on and it just triggered a memory because the last time I heard that song, something crazy happened. So it's like I'll trace back and go, did something just trigger me that I wasn't aware of? Or you're driving and you see somebody on the street and they're wearing something that reminds you of an old memory, right? And so then if the answer is yes, then I actually sit with that trigger and I go, it's okay. I'm safe. That is an old story. That's my past. And I'm allowed to reflect on that, but I'm safe right now. Who I am in this moment is really different from what was happening at that time. And so this kind of internal narrative and like the internal dialogue of really speaking into those parts of my inner child that may be triggered or frayed, it can create pretty like gentle relief. When done again and again, it can be very effective, especially when you pair it with breath work. And then likewise, sometimes, I don't have an answer, right? Like I trace back over a few seconds and it's like, no, the music on the radio didn't trigger me. No, it wasn't somebody I saw outside while driving. No, it wasn't that person in the car next to me. Like, yeah, I didn't feel anything from that. What was my train of thought that I was going through? Oh, yeah, I briefly thought about the fact that I have these 20 things to do. There's an anxiety in there. Okay, okay. So then the next step is, how do I really feel? And then just leaving space. So you can see this is really about a space, like leaving space for deep witnessing of yourself. And then for me, I find it effective to actually speak out loud what I feel because the vibration of that moving through the throat chakra is very clearing. So I'll say, like, I feel overwhelmed because XYZ, or I feel really excited, but I don't know what to do with that excitement. And just speaking those things starts to give you better perspective on what that anxiety is. Anxiety is just a bundle of emotional process or somatic process that is having a hard time fully clearing out, right? So I find that to be really, really helpful to just ask, how do I really feel? A couple days ago, I was feeling anxious and I was like, how do I really feel right now? And then beneath that anxiousness, I discovered that I was agitated and angry and that it was actually just a physical environmental thing. Like my kiddo was playing music that felt really like loud to my senses that I just really did not want to hear. And I felt like I didn't have enough personal space in the place that I was. So I was able to shift that. I asked my kiddo to turn down the music a little bit, but I also removed myself from the space that I was in and gave myself a little break in nature, right? So sometimes we've got like stimuli that we don't even realize, loud electronics, our children, they can mean well, but like they can just, I remember when my little one was like, he's not little anymore, but when he was like 3 or 4, he would just peck at me because he wanted attention, and he seemed to know when something was wrong with me, and that's when he would drill in, and it was just a lot. It made me crazy. So I would very gently say, like, Mama needs a timeout right now. I need to go sit quietly. And he understood that, and that was a way that I created a boundary for myself so that I could really manage my emotions instead of just being reactive or drowning in anxious feelings while trying to move forward in my life. There are a lot of other things you can do. I really do find that simply running the Reiki as I go through those mindset pieces and those emotional inquiry pieces is really powerful. And the more anxiety I have, the more likely I am to just run pure Reiki for 5 minutes or so before I begin that self inquiry process. And when I'm feeling really anxious and I like to the point that I can't self manage, I will go on YouTube, and there's like a couple of things that really just work for me. One is like this ASMR that this random lady did. It's like the only one of anything that she's done, and I found it on accident. But I found that a lot of people had left comments like combat veterans were like, "This is the only thing that gets me to sleep at night. Thank you." And like just this ASMR by this woman saying like, you're safe, you're totally safe, everything is okay. I found it to be very soothing to my nervous system, right? So you just have to find the things that really that you know are your things, like your go-to toolkit, and then work with them. And preventatively, like now that I know that coffee in more than a half a cup's width will create anxiety, I pare down on that and I give myself other nourishment so that my body's really stable and really nourished. Um, and I just give myself lots and lots of love and peace. So, those are some of my ideas. I'm going to check the comments really fast. It'll take me a moment because I have to go on my phone and see if you guys have any questions or comments. Oh, here's some. Let's see. Wait. Where are we? Where are we? I'm like, I keep glancing at my face on this reflection of the live because I got super sunburned over the weekend, like crazy sunburned. My face was lobster red for a minute, even with makeup on. And my skin keeps trying to peel, but I keep giving it so much moisture. Like I gave it plant essences. So today I'm not wearing any makeup, except I have eyeliner on, like this crazy eyeliner. But like I'm au naturel because I'm like letting my face breathe, and it's just been um, super trippy. It's been trippy to watch and feel my face like wanting to peel but not wanting to peel. Okay, let's look at some. Okay, hi you guys. Oh, it's so nice to see who's on. Thank you so much for coming and visiting. Yeah, so I hope that these have been helpful thoughts. I don't see any fresh comments. Um, I can't really tell with this because I just put it on. I realized I probably should have put it on at the same time in order to see fresh comments. Oopsie poopsie. Let's see if we get any comments going. Yeah, I don't know about Facebook sometimes. Should we do these somewhere else? Should we do these on YouTube? Or like some other live stream where I can always see comments? So if you do have comments, please leave them below. I would love for you guys to share like what you do for anxiety because I think everybody has so many great tips and ideas. And I know in this group people have struggled with anxiety and have also overcome it in different ways. I have found that the more that I tend to my heart space and really give like windows of space to really look at just how am I feeling? Like how am I feeling right now? I feel self-conscious about my skin, but I actually feel really peaceful. I feel a little flow of Reiki coming through. I feel excited about things coming today. Yeah, there's no anxiety in me, right? But like that process of just really laying hands on heart, just really listening in, can help to unearth things. I was in a relationship once where I felt a lot of anxiety, and then when I started doing that unearthing, it was like, oh, I'm fundamentally having a values difference in this situation, and it needs to be addressed. And because I'm not addressing it, the anxiety is building up. And so once I started, I didn't know how to address it, but I just worked around the edges. So I would address little things really gently, and then that opened up space for there to be a lot of healing in the relationship and deeper connection. So our anxiety is really a blessing, and it doesn't feel like that when you're going through it. It feels like you're dying and that the world is coming to an end. But it really is a blessing. It's your body's way of telling you something that you really need to know. And when you listen to that, everything comes into alignment. Everything comes back together. So I think, my friends, that is it. I'm going to double check comments. I see a couple of things now. Yeah. Reiki's been key for helping me ground. Yeah. Yep. Oh my gosh. Yes. All about momhood with anxiety and the healing. Yeah. Deep quiet. I agree, Sequoia. Deep quiet. It really does make a huge difference. I need that in order to also know what's mine and not mine. But I have found that the more that I just do the Reiki exercises, the more I can create that sense of deep silence no matter where I'm at, which is really good. Um, oh, yes, tapping under my collarbone. Yes, Cindy. So these are like stress relief points. Here's my collarbone. Here's a bunch of muscle. Wow, I didn't know I had muscle on my pubes. So, yeah, like these areas here, like these are stress relief points if you just tap them. That's right. And you can breathe and then tap. I love tapping and I love some of that somatic work. I think I first learned about that through a book called Energy Medicine. It's bright yellow. Okay, I think that's all I have to share today, you guys. I hope that this was really helpful. And I'm gonna go put a whole nother layer of cream on my face. My face has literally been drinking up 4 layers of cream a day, like aloe, plant stem cells. It's so crazy. Like I'll put it on and it just absorbs, and then and it stings because it's being remoisturized. And I'm like, wow, I think I'm reversing sunburn. That's crazy. But yeah, next time I will protect myself. So thank you guys so much for coming today. I am going to continue to do these talks and these mini master classes every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. I am sometimes about 5 minutes late. I absolutely just kind of trust the flow of my morning, and I'm working on being right on time. But again, if you have topics you want to hear about, you're welcome to message me. Send me a private message and just put topic idea and then write your topic idea, and I will see what can be done. Um, and this month for April, the new moon is coming this Sunday. So it is a time to set your intentions and figure out what's really going to help you get to the next level and just like feel like you love life and be excited about life. And then we have, what else do we have? Reiki Master Training is coming at the beginning of May. And Reiki Master Training is online with an in-person immersion in June for 1 weekend. So if you've been thinking about Reiki Master, if it feels like the time for Reiki Master, send me a message. We are pretty full. I have been really, I love smaller classes, and so I don't mind just closing them out when they're small, but we still have, I think, a little bit of space. And the online piece prior to class this year, I will be teaching some important Reiki Master pieces instead of waiting for the immersion. And then the immersion weekend, we'll be doing a lot of exercises and a lot of magic and healing and attunement and all kinds of stuff like that. And if you're too far for the in-person, you can still reach out and I can tell you how that works. But yeah, that's it. So I'm sending you guys lots of love. I keep wanting to come in here and talk about this topic that's been on my mind. I call it the rich gangster topic, but we'll talk about it. Okay, sending you guys lots of love. Bye.